Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 96 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them, available on YouTube and in most places podcasts can be found. We're just going to skip the housekeeping right now because we don't have anything. Get right into the Japanese games we've been playing. So, I started playing... Well, actually, I should do that last, so I'm going to switch this around. So I did start Jump Force. Played a tiny bit of it.
Oh, there you go.
Made my own character. Not a lot of facial hair options, unfortunately. Not the best customization options in general. But I'm sure I just have to unlock more stuff.
Probably.
As it goes on. It's fine. I don't really have anything much to... Because I basically just did, like, the tutorial, and then once I got to a save point... in like the hub world.
So you didn't even do like an exhibition match or something like that?
I did whatever match was after the tutorial. I did like one match, but it was just late when I played it. So,
okay, now
except for I did find out in the hub world you have 3 different modes of transportation. You have you can have like a frog from Naruto, like a capsule corp like scooter thing from Dragon Ball, and like a mini Going Merry from One Piece. So that was fun. But and then also you join one of 3 different teams. And each one is led by a different character. One's led by Luffy, one's led by Goku, one's led by Naruto. The Naruto team had like mostly Naruto characters and then a couple other people. But they're not all like that. Like the Goku team had Goku, Piccolo, Zoro, and Boruto for some reason.
Okay.
And I joined that one because Zoro was there.
Okay. Way back when we first talked about Jump Force, probably, you mentioned that you thought it looked good according to your taste. Do you still hold that opinion, or is the... I
mean, it does. I don't think it looks bad. It's a little weird with the with the graphical style. A little odd. I get that they're trying to look kind of more like figures, but it just like translates weird because they're trying to look like figures but also trying to look realistic at the same time, and it just everything has this weird smoothness to it.
To me, it just doesn't really work, because if the way they are adapting it to be a realistic style kind of makes it so that all the different character designs clash with each other. I would have...
and that's why... And that's what brings me to the other game I got, Jumpstar's Victory Versus Plus, where they still all look like... more like anime characters. And like... You know, it's not stylized in a specific way. It's more based on their own art style.
Yeah, I get it.
And it looks a bit better.
Yeah, it's not trying to be hyper realistic as Jump Force is. I would have preferred if there was like one unified style. To go over.
Kind of like how, and I'll talk about this a little later, but there was for one of the was it either Jump Superstars or Jump Ultimate Stars? They made a brief tie-in manga by the creator of iShield 21. Yeah. So all the characters were drawn in that person's style.
Yeah, I think that's a better approach overall. But then again, people want these characters to mash together in the Smash Brothers sense and have all their respective styles represented, but the problem is it just clashes all around. If it were a cell shaded game on par with, I think, My Heroes One Justice or the Ultimate Ninja series, I think it would be viewed better that way. But yeah, it's all hindsight now because Jump Force has ended its support, or Bandai Namco has ended its support. So yeah, we really can't do anything about it at this point.
Yeah, and then Jumpstar's Victory versus Plus, I thought it was like a 2D fighting game. Not at all. It has like a big. It's a 3D fighter, but it has like a big open space.
Oh, I know. I've played it before.
Like, I had no idea, and I was like, this is interesting. I wouldn't do this for a fighting game, but it's interesting that they did it this way.
It's more of like a light adventure mode, and then broken up with one-on-one fights, or like team versus team fights. But both games being developed by the same person, or same development team, I should say. How do you compare both of them? Which one did you end up liking more, and why?
Which one did I end up liking more? Well, I haven't played much of either yet. But right now, like, they both have, because right now Jump Stars feels more limited in terms of attacks, but I just may not be used to it yet. Well, if Jump Force, you can have you choose one of 3 different fighting styles, martial arts style, sword style, and I forgot the other one. I chose sword style.
Of course.
And so, but you can learn all the different attacks from all the different anime characters, and all you have to do is buy them. You don't. It's not like Xenoverse where you have to learn those techniques from those characters. You just have to get enough money to get them. Which is a little disappointing because I would have liked being taught techniques by those characters, given a little more interaction.
But I think that's also one of the limitations of Jump Force, because the controls are very straightforward and very, how do I say this properly? They're not designed to be challenging, and it doesn't lend itself towards certain complexities and depth. So I think design-wise, that wouldn't have been probable or possible.
Yeah, but I'll still have to play them a bit more to really get a handle on them. But so far, I don't think they're bad. So that's a good sign. I always hear like how bad these the few jump games we got are, and I'm like, they've been okay for me.
I think the thing is,
but I'm also not a big fighting game person.
I think the thing is they're not as good as these properties would lead you to believe that they could be.
Right. It's no Ninja Storm 4 or Fighter Z.
Well, I think more Fighter Z or Fighters showed you the promise of what a very deep and complex fighting game based on an anime property can be. And then to have something like Jump Force kind of like do I don't want to say poor job of representing the Shonen Jump manga, but it kind of doesn't go all the way. It's just, okay, here, go. It's a light fighting game. We don't have much to offer you, but enjoy. It's not. It doesn't have the same love and attention to detail that, say, a Mortal Kombat gets, or a Guilty Gear gets, or a Street Fighter gets. It feels kind of by the numbers, and I think that also might be a disservice to the development team that poured in a lot of work into this, but that's just how I feel after seeing it. Now, people have told me that because it's very accessible, it's very light, they'd much rather pour in hours into this versus trying to figure out how to do a proper combo in Guilty Gear or Dragon Ball Fighters. They just don't want to be stressed with complexity at the end of a long day. So this is a very nice pick up and play option. So that's probably how it's balanced in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. So I also started Shin Megami Tensei 5, which I've been enjoying. I've been enjoying a lot of the demon recruiting and fusing aspects, especially because it's like, and I hate to compare it to Persona because people don't like it when you do that.
Just do it.
But it's because because in Persona, the demons are just kind of there. They're an extension of the player or the characters. In this, they're all their own separate entity. They all have different personalities, and I like that there's more depth to that.
Okay, continue. I don't entirely agree, but continue.
But you know what I mean,
yeah, I
right?
know what you mean. I know what you mean, yeah.
Okay. And I'm still learning. I'm still pretty early on in the game. I'm about like an hour or two in. I'm at possibly the second boss. I'm not sure. I got wrecked, so I need to grind a little bit. And I just unlocked Jack-o'-lantern, also known as Pyro Jack, one of my favorites, so I'm happy about that. But the thing is, like, you have to do... It's one of those things where you have to do a lot of the side missions, or else you're definitely not going to be strong enough to do, like, to progress through the game.
What difficulty are you playing on, then?
I'm on the easiest difficulty.
Is it the easiest, like, base easy, or is it the easiest that unlocked on launch?
What do you mean?
There's an extra DLC for an easier difficulty that's, I think, called Merciful.
Oh, is that's what I'm not on that. Okay. No, I'm on it's the launch easy. I forgot that
all the reviews I've watched and listened to mention that even on the easiest difficulty at base level, or at the base on the base game, the game would still be challenging. So I think Merciful.
I could. I might try Merciful, but as it is right now, I'm not having too much trouble with.
It's still manageable.
Yeah, it's still manageable. It's just like, if I get defeated, I'm like, I know what I need to do. Like, I've been defeated by some just random demons before, and I'll be like, okay, well, this is weak to that, so I need to watch out for that when it tries to hit this demon, and if it tries to use this attack on this thing. There's, like, a lot more thought to it, I feel like, and that's
Does
nice.
It ever feel unfair in its difficulty? Like, the game expects you to know some hidden arcane thing, and that's what...
Sometimes it feels like the characters, like, there will be, and maybe it's just a chance thing, but sometimes there will be these demons that I know their weakness, and I usually take them down in one hit, but then sometimes it does like half the damage, even though I'm doing that same attack, attacking that same demon, and then that demon will be able to like knock out one of my demons, and I'll be like, wait, but it didn't do that before. What is happening here? And maybe that's something to do with Magatsuhi, or like something I'm not looking into. I haven't looked that deeply into everything.
Okay, no, I get you.
I'm still trying to figure everything out, because this is not as, I don't want to say simple, but it's it's different than coming from having only played the Persona games. There's still stuff you got to get used to gameplay wise. You can't go in expecting all the systems to be similar, even though there are obviously some systems are similar, like the same elements. I don't know if the strength and weaknesses, the elemental strengths and weaknesses are the same, but I'm sure they have some similarities. There's still the fusion and the compendium.
It's the same
like,
mechanic, because when you do hit an enemy's weakness in Persona, you get a one more chance, and then do it enough. I think I remember this correctly. You get like
I don't think you
all
get
out attack. So yeah,
you don't. I feel like you don't get a one more chance in Shin Megami Tensei 5, but you get like a Magatsuhi bonus if you defeat a demon with its weakness.
Yeah, you get like an extra attack, right? Up in the upper right corner, there's like these glowing orbs.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense.
In the grand, if you kind of zoom out and compare both to each other, it's essentially the same thing. It's just they're expressed differently and visually represented differently, but it's essentially the same.
The one thing I don't like about it right now is it's a lot more dreary, and that might just be like the setting and just how Shin Megami Tensei kind of is.
That's very much Shin Megami Tensei. It's like, this is the end of the world. There's no sunshine and rainbows. There's no hope. This is
but I mean, dreary like kind of makes me sleepy. But it's not boring. I don't know how to it's like
there's no like pizzazz keeping your.
And I don't really find the story all that I'm in it pretty early, but I don't find the story to be very interesting.
It's from what I
just demon conflict, demon angel.
From what
conflict.
I've read and heard, it's a very bare bones affair compared to something as complex and grand as Persona. But that's also its own separate thing. Shin Megami Tensei is very much rooted in good versus evil, angels versus demons, God versus Satan. How does that play out? And then you have to make your choices accordingly.
What I do like is it introduced a couple of characters at the beginning, and you could tell these were like essentially main characters because their clothes were different than everybody else's. And they're in random places in this, because you're in like the netherworld, or like it's not clear that it's still the same world or not. You're in the like a netherworld, and it's kind of just weird.
I think it's supposed to be like the post-apocalypse of the place where you were, like post-apocalypse Tokyo.
Yeah, because nobody's really sure what happened, and so but then you'll randomly run into those characters that you saw at the beginning, and it's like, oh, they're still around. Okay, that's weird, but at least they didn't just kill them off all of a sudden.
Hey, I'm happy you didn't die.
Yeah. It's like, wait, shouldn't they all be dead? Like, huh?
But also, what I wanted to ask you was, this is kind of you playing the return of the granddaddy of the monster tamer genre. How does that feel?
It feels interesting, because some aspects do feel a little, I don't know, slower than I'm used to. I'm not the biggest fan of the menus either.
Kind of cumbersome.
Or the battle UI. Yeah.
Okay.
I do like. You know how in Persona you have attack and then you have skills?
Yes.
And in this, the attack is your regular physical attack is under the skills thing with everything else. I don't mind that. I'm just like, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, I don't think that doesn't rub me the right way.
Also, the performance isn't great.
Did you?
And I'm not picky about frame. I'm not picky about like frame rate and graphics, but oof, sometimes it's just not good outside of battle. In battle, it's always been fine.
Yeah, I get it. But yeah, that's unfortunate.
And that might add to the like dreariness, why it makes me kind of sleepy, because I'm just like, this doesn't really keep my interest. I'm in a huge desert, and it's just kind of I don't know.
Is it because it's all brown and depressing, and then
yeah, maybe it's that.
But
then I'll be like, if I'll see like a monster running around, I'd like to have the feeling of when I'm playing a Mon game, I like having the feeling of seeing something and being like, oh, I don't have that yet, I should go get it. The problem with this is you don't. Half of these things you might have already made by fusing. So a lot of times it's not like that. But sometimes it still does happen.
I'm curious.
And
did you also have any experience with Persona 5?
Yeah, I've played Persona 5.
Okay.
The original one.
Okay, because that one has the conversation system from the main Megaton.
I remember that.
Mega Tensei, but it's implemented very differently and kind of, I think, a lot easier.
Right. Yeah, because you have to pay attention to the phase of the moon and what they ask you, and depending on how they're feeling.
It's like, is Mercury in retrograde today? Can I ask you this question?
Yeah, it's and then and then a cat with like a Puss in Boots cat. When I answered a question about when I told it like I don't want to harm demons, he told me to go home and rethink my life, and he left.
That's very good life advice.
And I'm just like, were they just putting a Star Wars reference in there, or?
Yeah.
Like it's funny because sometimes we'll join you, but the unfortunate thing is right now, for them to join you, depending on their level, sometimes they'll they'll take some of your money and a little bit of your health and a little bit of your stamina and maybe one of your items, and then they'll finally join you after that.
It's kind of very fickle. I think this is trying to bring the Mega 10 series back to like proper RPG mechanics. Right. If you have a monster in the distance and you ask it a question and it doesn't go according to a script you're familiar with, that's how RPGs used to be. Like,
right.
I remember having this experience with Romancing Saga 3 where a town mayor asked me to go into a cave to fight a plague of rats, and then when I entered the cave he locked the cave with a boulder or kind of he put an obstacle in front of the entrance so that I couldn't escape. And when I asked him, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you out until you beat or kill the monster that's living in the cave. And it's a high-level cave. There's no way of clearing that dungeon unless you're properly equipped or sufficiently leveled up in the game. And I'm like, why would you do that? And it's a very old-school Dungeons and Dragons rule. Like, why would you go into a cave that's dark and foreboding? That's not sensical. And RPGs have kind of lulled us in this sense of security of, oh, there's a cave there. Oh, I'm pretty sure there's a treasure chest waiting there with my name on it. I'll just go beat the enemy and I'll go back out and no problem, no big deal. And I feel like Megaten is kind of kicking our butts collectively by reminding us, these are demons. Why are you expecting a good thing out of these conversations?
Well, some of them, a lot of the side quests are like these demons that need help.
Yeah.
Like the first one was like, oh, collect 5 life stones for me. And another one was like, oh, defeat this many of this type of demon and come back to me on that. Or defeat this specific demon and I'll join you. Or not that I'll join you, but just like, that's one of the things that happened. There was another one. There was a funny one with this Oni who lives in a cave, and he's like, "Hey, can you go ask some demons if they need my help? Like, because I want more followers to show that I'm strong." And you ask all the demons outside of the cave, and everyone is like, all of them are like, oh, the last time I asked him to help me, he like took my stuff or something.
Wow.
Like that. And so you go back, you're like, yeah, nobody wants you to help them. And then then he gets mad and tries to attack them. So you have to go and like calm him down. Mm-hmm. You have to go fight him. And he goes back to the cave and he's like, I'm actually weaker than a lot of other.
Wow.
And then the quest just like ends. And it's like, what was even the point of all that?
I think that's a very fun thing to experience then.
Yeah, it was just, that was probably the most fun, like, side quest I've done so far. And then there's another side quest where I have to fight some mermaids, but I don't think I have that area unlocked yet.
So,
or at least sometimes it's kind of unclear where to go with how the map is. It can be kind of weird with with how the graphics look, first of all, but then with all the ups and downs and at different bridges and such.
But this game being as challenging as it is, do you think it's one of those games that it's better experienced with a guide, or is it something you'd say, hey, just go experience it for yourself on your first try?
I mean, I'm not gonna say, like, if you feel like you need a guide, use a guide. It'll definitely help. But yeah, if you want to like stick to not using a guide for a while, then you can at least try.
Yeah, and
again, I don't think. Oh, and I don't think this is going to take Monster Hunter Stories 2 spot for my game of the year.
Okay, but
more on that later. But I don't think it's gonna.
Okay.
As of right now.
Okay. Is there anything within Monster Hunter Stories 2 that makes you say, "Oh, this is definitely my game of the year"?
I'm more encouraged to do the side quest and post game stuff.
Okay.
Like, this doesn't. So Shin Megami Tensei 5, which is a problem for me with a lot of JRPGs, is it makes me feel like the side quests are and it's the same. I had a similar problem with Tales of Arise, but Tales of Arise, it was a little easier because half of those quests you were already done with by the time you got them because you already had what you needed. But it like in Shin Megami Tensei 5 and a lot of other JRPGs, the side quests feel like kind of like homework. You have to do all of these before you can do this. And it's just like a lot of like, I don't want to. I'd rather just do the story and then do the side quests that I want to do instead of, trying to do every single side quest so I can get all the stuff I can. Oh, I totally lost my train of thought.
But I get it.
But yeah, it just... Oh, Forza. Like, Forza Horizon 5 has a similar thing, but that's different, It's a racing game. It's not... I don't mind that. That doesn't feel like homework to me, like busy work. It feels like... It's like, okay, get this many accolade points to get to the next adventure, and you can do that by like doing tricks or doing these doing races or doing these other things. You just have there's more variety to it. And I feel like a lot of JRPGs, they don't have a lot of variety in their side quests, so you have to really like. So you might have to really like the like combat systems or certain gameplay aspects.
I think it's just something that's part of RPG design overall, because a lot of them are like, oh, go here, kill X, or go here and get item for me, and then
because for example, Pokemon, it has side quests, but they're not framed in that way.
They're kind of more woven into the main story.
Until Legends Arceus. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, oh, how do you get that? How do you get access to this cave with this legendary? And oh, you have to go talk to this guy and get this item. But you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah. But it helps if you do it.
Well, it might help. It might just get you a new Pokemon, and it depends on if you want it or not. Maybe you don't even want it, so you don't even have to touch it.
That is true.
That's what I kind of prefer, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just being raised on Pokemon makes me like prefer when side quests are more fully optional.
That's definitely something to consider, because until recently, I've mostly only played JRPGs. So when I finally started Divinity Original Sin 2 and KOTOR and The Witcher, I was floored by the breadth and the scale of the quests and how much attention they required of me. Because in JRPGs, it's very much do the good thing, do the neutral or good alignment quest, to get the good ending. And Western RPGs are very much intent on giving you a very neutral view of the world, and trying to also get you to do things that require more thought than straight up combat. So I think this Shin Megami Tensei 5 being as complex and as challenging as it is, it's requiring muscles we have not trained as of late, to put it in another term.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out stuff. Like, I don't mind doing side quests, but you gotta. I just kind of wish a lot of JRPGs were more upfront about, like, hey, or just more often more upfront about, like, hey, this doing more of these will help you get through the main story. Yeah. Like, don't be like, side quests, they're side quests, you don't have to do them. It's like, be like, yeah, you don't have to do them, but they actually will help you a lot. Like, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. But
in RPGs like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and most recently Tales of Arise, it was, from what you gather out of the chatter, is that people had trouble progressing through the main story because it kind of scaled differently, and it was kind of challenging. But I think what was supposed to happen is that you do side quests before you continue with the main quest, and that way you'd have enough experience and skills to conquer the rest of the game. And I think,
and it can be hard when people are bigger fans of video games, because then they're always looking, they want to get through a thing and get to the next thing. Not always, yeah, so
I think this is where
that's another issue.
SMT5 is probably going to be emblematic of that. Like, it's going to say, oh, you want to continue with the main story, but maybe do the side quests and level up first, and then come back when you're ready.
Yeah, and the other thing I'm remembering is, like, how much I liked how Skyrim, like, its story was so short. Compared to all the other stuff you could do in the game. And I wish, like, stuff could be a little more like that, whereas, like, the main story is, like, short and you can get through it, but the problem is a lot of the side quests, they're not, like, in JRPGs, with how they're designed, they're not necessarily stuff you can do post game unless you're moving on to New Game Plus, and then you have to get to the point of the story where you can get back to that side quest, and you know what I mean. So I get that it's probably harder to do JRPGs that way, but maybe there's a sweet spot somewhere.
I think the sweet spot would be something like Divinity Original Sin 2, where the main quest is fairly short, I think within 20 to 30 hours. But everything else surrounding the main quest is so engaging and so attractive that you can't
see. That's kind of how I feel about Monster Hunter Stories too. It's like, you don't have to do these other things, but they help, and you can get more monster parts, and, like, they're all right there for you. Or you have to talk to a person, and then you'll have that quest.
Yeah,
on your list and stuff.
But
It just very much depends on how a game does it.
I wish there was a marriage of that. Like, give me anime visuals and anime hype moments and craziness, but give me also the Western sensibility of a story that's open-ended and allows me to make choices. Like, that would be so cool. So cool.
Yeah, so speaking of JRPGs, you've been playing a little more of Tales of Luminaria?
Yeah, I've gotten to the character that's what's her name again?
The Betrayer?
No, it's not Betrayer.
I don't know.
I've gotten to the 4th episode of the game. I'm starting it up right now, and I'm checking the name. But the thing about the game is it has 21 main characters, and all those characters have their own unique fighting style. Well, not all of them, but
If you hear that music, that's on Jason's end because he's looking at Tales of Luminaria.
The music is pretty good. It's by Go Shina, who also did the music for Tales of Legendia, if I'm not mistaken, and that's one of the better regarded soundtracks in the Tales series. But back to Luminaria, all the main characters can be broken down into categories. Like you have the ranged characters, the close combat characters, and the character I'm on right now is Alexandra. She's the well, unfortunately she's the fan servicey one. Like I'm so conflicted, but it's also done by the mangaka who did Food Wars, so what else would I have expected? But yeah, she's the fan servicey one, and her battle system is based off of the Muso games, I want to say, because she is very powerful and very quick, and then she's also saddled with like hordes and hordes of enemies, which is kind of fun for a pick up and go mobile game. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. The story is interesting, but it's not as impactful as, say, August, which is one of the main baddies, and Leo, who has very big main character energy with his red hair. So those two were standouts to me. The other ones are kind of like they fill out the world by building out the characters. You usually think of, oh, I'd like to know more about that character, and it's kind of like that. And I think it kind of hurts the storytelling by not having a good enough focus on main characters, like specific main characters. If you split the focus across like 21 characters, it dilutes the storytelling power and potential, I think. Unless you're really good in telling stories. But yeah, that's kind of my big worry about now. For now. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. It has its issues. Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Arrow wrote a review impression on it not too long ago. And I think you should check their article for kind of like an in-depth look of how the game works and all the systems and all the faults with it. It has potential. The storytelling has potential, and I'm willing to see it through. And yeah, so far so good. Besides that, I've been playing a bit of Animal Crossing New Horizon. I still haven't gotten to the new update. I'm sorry for anyone still following the saga. I want to, but I'm busy with everything else. And when I'm on the island, it's pretty much the daily task that you used to do on the island. Because I have outstanding loans to pay off. Thankfully, Tong Nook doesn't like come knocking on my door every day and ask me where's my money. And yeah, I'm doing that. I promise to get to the DLC one of these days. And I've also been playing Mario Kart 8 Ultimate.
Weird.
It's a very good game.
It is. I used to have it. I really enjoyed it when I had it.
It's so well made. The graphics are so good. There are so many tiny details when you look at how the wheels spin.
I wish it had an event lab mode the way
Forza has.
Forza Horizon 5 does. Yeah.
I mean that could be a good idea for Mario Kart 9. Like give us a track creator.
I don't think they'll do that, but well,
they could.
Diddy Kong Racing, and I know that's rare, that's old rare, that's not Nintendo, but that had the DS version had a track editor.
Yeah, so that would be great. But yeah, Mario Kart 8 is very, very fun. I've played it with my girlfriend and her family. They also loved it. It's a very fun time.
It's not a causing relationship.
No. There's some healthy rivalries going on, but no relationships broken. That's probably Mario Party that will break relationships. But yeah,
so tune in next episode when he tries to play Super Mario Party.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a very fun game, and the tracks are so well designed and so thoughtful. And the only thing I'd have issue with is that if you're in first place, you don't get any of the good power ups. Like, give me a red shell.
Right, that's still an issue. Yeah.
Let me terrorize the other people on the track.
It's just Mario Kart 8 is one of those things where like Nintendo can make these games look so good on Switch, and then like a third-party game like SMT5 is like, oof, what is happening here?
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, I'm enjoying it.
So it's hard, and I guess Pokemon would be an example of that too. But I don't want to get into that whole thing.
That's that will be its own can of worms. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing.
That's cool. I've been thinking about Forza has been the racing game I've been playing, but that doesn't have. I haven't gotten to do much Event Lab mode yet. So it's just like regular racing. Most of the time I'm just jumping off of mountains or trying to find or just driving around.
So I've also been playing Forza Horizon 4. I haven't gotten to 5 just yet. But yeah, the Event Lab is a thing, and it kind of is daunting to me because I always feel like an imposter trying to do creative modes. Like, yeah, that's not good enough. That doesn't look good enough. That doesn't nearly look fun enough. So I'm not even gonna attempt it.
I don't know why, but I don't know what happened, why it got banned, but I had a Super Mario Maker level called Waluigi for President, or for Prez. I put Prez on in Super Mario Maker on Wii U, and I uploaded it, and it got banned for some reason, and I don't know why. And my friend said, well, maybe it's because you put a pathway that leads to a door where when you go into that door, you drop into a bunch of spikes.
No, that couldn't be it.
And it was like just in the shape of a face too. Just, and maybe they didn't like that. I don't know. I forgot what items I used to make what I did, but yeah, maybe it might have been just because that level was kind of a BS.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't have been. Maybe I shouldn't have been approved in the first place.
You got too political on Nintendo's dime.
Yeah, maybe it was the name. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea, and I never will know, but I'll probably never play a Super Mario Maker game again. Not because of that, just because I don't really care.
Yeah, I get it.
It was fun while it lasted. And also, that was ages ago, and I'll never find out why that happened. Anyways, next up, it's the In From Japan J list, recent video game related entertainment news. Cowboy Bebop live action season 1 on Netflix will probably be out definitely by the time this podcast is out.
It drops midnight today of the day of recording.
Yes.
So yeah.
So we'll see. I've seen mixed things about it. I've seen some people on Twitter say like, oh, all the reviews I've seen are bad, but then I've seen other people say like, oh, I really enjoyed it. So I'm just like, I'm just gonna watch it for myself because I'm not gonna
touch it just yet. I have to finish the anime first. I'm on like half of it.
All right, so fair enough.
I'll probably be getting around to the live action when all the chatter has died down.
If it's bad, like if I watch through all of it and I think it's bad, I plan on just watching Speed Racer again.
That will heal all your wounds.
Yes, it is a great movie. And great adaptation. Speaking of adaptation, this isn't even an adaptation. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure spin-off manga official title revealed, although there is a live-action adaptation of that I've been meaning to watch. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. The official title of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure spin-off manga is officially here. The official title for the upcoming spin-off is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Crazy Diamond's Demonic Heartbreak. It will appear in the January issue of Ultra Jump, which releases on December 18th, 2021. The initial announcement of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure spin-off came in August 2021. Tezuku Karasuma will illustrate the manga, and Kohei Kadono will provide the story. In October 2021, it was revealed that the spin-off would be set in the city of Morio. Additionally, it will feature Josuke and Whole Horse. The manga will take place before the events of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable. That's a little weird. And then Stone Ocean, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stone Ocean is going to be released globally on December 1st, 2021 on Netflix.
Well, there you go.
So that'll be interesting. And it's supposedly weekly?
I think that's a good strategy because
and simuldubbed.
I think as of late with Arcane on Netflix, that also drops in kind of, I think, weekly batches of 3
I know
episodes.
they've had a few of those.
Yeah. It kind of serves the story better by giving us more time to digest the individual bits, and also it leads to the chatter around the series to last longer than just the weekend of.
It also depends on the episodes and stuff, and you never know how many seasons the thing is going to get. I'm still waiting on season 2 of Seis Manos, man. I don't know if we're ever going to get it.
Keep tweeting about it as the producers would say.
Probably the most ignored powerhouse animation series on Netflix.
Is that true?
Unless there's one I'm not thinking of. Unless there's one I'm not thinking of. I did start watching Castlevania a little bit because I was still only on season 3, and I'm still only on season 3.
I stopped at season 2, but
they have Castlevania, Kid Danger. They do that. Seis Manos, Epithet Erased. I don't know what. Santiago of the Seas. So I guess they do. But the Netflix stuff is like, the Netflix stuff is Castlevania, Seis Manos, Blood of Zeus, Masters of the Universe Revelation, Tomb Raider, Skull Island, and something called Heaven's Forest.
So what about Seis Manos is so good according to you?
It is an adult Jackie Chan Adventures.
I think that's the best pitch ever.
It just really reminded me of it. Like when it started out, it reminded me of it, and then this thing happened. It was like, oh wait, right. It's also inspired by martial arts films and grindhouse movies. So, and I like both of those.
Yeah.
So
this is up your alley.
It was kind of the perfect mix. Yeah, it's only 8 episodes long. Danny Trejo voices one of the antagonists. I think our friend of the show, Kate Sanchez, I think she did a review for it. Let me check. I don't want to be crediting the wrong person. Hang on. Yeah, Kate Sanchez did a good. Actually, did a couple articles on it.
Okay,
and she did do a review of it, and a couple other ones. Yeah. For But Why Though? So yeah, and she's probably the biggest powerhouse animation fan that I know. So,
well, next to you,
next to me. But remember, I haven't watched a lot of these yet. I haven't, or at least not finished them. Seis Manos is probably the only one I finished.
Okay.
Because it was the most interesting to me.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not true. I did finish He-Man Revelations.
Okay.
Or Masters of the Universe Revelations. I finished the first part of that.
Did you like that one?
I thought that was really interesting. Yes. The only thing that was distracting was, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character just sounded like Sarah Michelle Gellar. So I was just like...
I mean,
hey Buffy.
It's kind of hard for Sarah Michelle Gellar to sound like anything else.
Right.
Probably.
No, right. It was just a funny thing that I was like, well... And then Mark Hamill as Skeletor, of course, was great.
Okay.
Just the whole thing conceptually was very interesting. And part 2, I believe, releases in December.
Yeah.
And then there's another like separate He-Man series for kids on Netflix. That's apparently supposed to be pretty good still, though.
Okay.
All right, next up on the J list, last on the J list, we have Final Fantasy XIV Eorzea Academy manga to release in December. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. Once again, Square Enix announced the Final Fantasy XIV Eorzea Private Academy spin-off manga will release through the Manga Up app on December 24th, 2021. Updates for Final Fantasy XIV Eorzea Private Academy will release bi-weekly on Friday. Amaichi Azora will both write and illustrate the manga, with the Final Fantasy XIV team acting as supervisors. It is unclear if the manga will be available in English as well. The first concept of the spin-off manga appeared as an April Fool's joke in 2019. An image of potential panels was teased on Twitter in March 2019, with nothing about the potential of the spin-off reappearing until a letter from the producer live broadcast. The manga will primarily focus on Alphino and Alice Leveler? I forgot how to pronounce their last name. Leveler? I don't know. However, characters like Y'shtola and Estinian will appear in the spin-off manga. Square Enix described the manga as a lighthearted comedy that will see fan-favorite characters appear as students or teachers at the Eorzea Private Academy. It will release on December 24th, 2021 through the Manga Up app, which is available on Android and iOS. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I think it will release in English.
I was talking to my friend, and the character, Thancred,
Mm-hmm.
he said something like kind of sarcastic to like Emmett Selk or something, and I was like, "Oh, Thancred, you're my second favorite." And I was talking to my friend at the time, and he just started cracking up because he's like, "Imagine just like being next to someone and just telling them
you're my second favorite.
Your second favorite."
Yeah.
Estinian is my favorite. That's why.
Who would be my favorite?
I'm not a dragoon. I'm a tank, but there aren't any tanks on the Scions. I don't think. No. There's no Dark Knights on the Scions. Thancred is a tank. Thancred's a gunbreaker.
Yeah.
But
who would be my?
But there's no Dark Knights on the Scions.
I think Tataru would be my favorite.
Tataru is also great
because she's very feisty when you least expect it. Like, where was all this anger hiding?
Right. My same friend is like never trust Lalafels.
Hey.
They're sinister. They're sinister.
I'm a Lalafell. I am a Lalafell. I will not tolerate Lalafell.
Well, that explains a lot.
Wow. Okay, I do have to admit.
Just kidding. I'm kidding.
We do not claim what's his name again? The backstabber.
Oh, what's his, I forgot his name too. I know.
Taleji Aleji. We do not.
Taleji Aleji.
We do not claim him as one of our own.
All right. So moving on to recommended content from the past week other than news, links in the description and the pastebin. We have Shin Megami Tensei 5 has the first demon from Philippine folklore for the series, and it's Dark by Michael Higham for Fanbyte. Have you read about this?
Yeah, I've read about it.
Okay, have you known about this specific thing?
This specific folklore?
Yeah, or was that not something that that was really present?
I think this is it might have a different name with my people, but it
doesn't go by the Moo.
It's hard to say because across cultures you have similar entities, but also different expressions of similar entities.
What was the one that? Mm-hmm. So what was the similar thing, or what was the most similar thing? Because that's pretty specific, I feel like.
It's hard to say.
Like a lady who's ripped in half, a demon lady who's ripped in half is pretty specific.
What we have is I mean the Indonesian/Japanese people is Sundar Bolong. It's a woman who has a hole in her midriff where a baby used to be, and I think she either stalks people who like men, of course, men, and she probably also kidnaps babies, something like that. I'm not up to date.
Okay, so that's kind of similar. Yeah,
the thing is, all across different cultures, you have like
a lot of similar yet different types of
what
things.
What they call lady in white, and then you have the banshees, you have the La Llorona.
Yeah,
very very similar stuff all over the world. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting for Michael to focus on that.
I mean, but, it's the culture.
It's I really like when games use folklore and mythology that isn't, overused. Like, we see Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and sometimes Egyptian mythology the most.
Shin Megami is very good with that. It
very very much dips into a lot of different.
It introduces you to Zoroastrianism entities. You have like Babylonian stuff. You have Indian stuff,
and then you just realize how weird humanity is.
Oh, definitely. I'm seeing a similar one to the Leyak, who is from Bali. It's a similar entity as the Manananggal. So
Mumu.
I don't think that's it, but sure.
No, he said it was a shorthand name.
Oh, okay.
It was the Mumu.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's crazy to see it happen, but it's also very cool to see it happen.
Right. I really appreciate, like I said, I really appreciate when games kind of use, the mythologies and folklore that we don't see that often.
Yeah.
And Shin Megami Tensei is good about that. I like stuff like Mulaka that focuses on the
indigenous
people in Mexico, a specific tribe. And then there was one indie game I called a while ago called The Moose Man.
That's a title.
And I can't remember if that was like Russian or native, like or Inuit or
well, there used to be a land bridge between Russia and the United States.
Right. So that's why I'm like, what was it?
So I'm pretty sure that there was some overlap.
Wait, based on Finno-Ugric culture of bygone pagan times.
That's a mouthful.
Finno-Ugric. I don't know what that means.
It's old. It's very old and forgotten.
I know what pagan means, but yeah. Finno-Ugric languages. Traditional grouping of all languages in the Uralic language family except the summit. Okay, anyways, very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Was not the best game, but was a really cool conceptually. Moving on. In recommended content, we also have Pokemon Zoroark, Master of Illusion, warned us about fake news by Eric Switzer over at The Gamer. I might watch this weekend, because there are a couple of those movies on Prime. I might watch the Manaphy movie with a friend, because they're really into water Pokemon. And then I was thinking of myself watching the Diamond and Pearl trilogy, just because I haven't seen them a while, and 2 out of 3 are on Prime.
Okay, there you go.
And I was like, well, why not? They'd be interesting. I haven't seen any of them since they aired on Cartoon Network back in when I was in middle school.
Okay.
Which was a little after Diamond and Pearl came out, I think, because it took back then. Dubs usually took a while too. That was back when Pokemon still took a year to release outside of Japan.
The good old days.
Yeah. And we have You're Gonna Carry That Weight, Confronting Trauma with Cowboy Bebop by Kate Sanchez for But Why Though. We have Bots Are Ruining Your Chance of Buying a PS5 and Xbox Series this holiday and What to Do About It by Taylor Lyles for IGN. Good live action anime that just work. But Why Though recommends by Kate Sanchez for But Why Though once again. 8 video games you didn't know how to manga by me for The Gamer. And games released on consoles years after they were discontinued by me also, The Gamer. So that second one, it's games that were released on consoles that had been discontinued years ago, and these games released on them years later.
Oh, okay.
Did you know the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Famicom actually just got a new release?
Was it like a fan-made thing, or was it like a full...
It's like an official game.
Huh.
It's like a full game. It's not licensed, technically, because it can't be, but like it's not licensed for the Nintendo Entertainment System, but it's made for it. And it's an official...
But why?
Like, it's not a... Because people like retro stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
It's very interesting. It's like a firefighting game. And then the video games you didn't know how to manga. I don't remember if I talked about this last time, but this is the one where I wrote about Bomberman and how Bomberman started Bomberman actually started the Beat 'em on franchise, which is still going in Japan, and unfortunately internationally never really hit it off here.
Yeah.
Well, we had it briefly, and I really liked it. I liked it better than Beyblade, honestly, but it just never really took off.
Okay.
Maybe one day we'll get them again.
Fingers crossed.
I'd rather see a return of that than the return of Bay Wheels.
That's definitely something.
Do you know about that?
No, I have no idea. But
okay, so Bay Wheels are the Western spin-off of Beyblade, and they're wheels.
That does not sound appealing
literally
at all.
in the first episode, it was like Beyblades like have been known for generations, but this is a story about like, and it's like using a tree as like a metaphor about like a thing that branched off as like the Bay Wheels. I don't know. And then they had Bay Warriors, where it was like little figures on top of the Beyblades. All this is
making me think of the Train to Busan Western remake that we're going to be getting soon. So,
hey, apparently people are coming around on that because of the director. So I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah. So next up, it's time for the news rundown. So I'll let Jason take it away with the bad-ish news.
Yes, Bankai. First up, we have Fantasy Life Online Japanese version to end service in December. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. Fantasy Life Online was an RPG by Level 5, and Level 5 announced service for the Japanese client of said game will end on December 15, 2021. Leading up to the end of service, Level 5 has removed all options to purchase in-game currency. Players will have until December 15, 2021 to refund any recent purchases for in-game currency. Shout out to Gamer. The official Fantasy Life Online website features a statement from the developers. It reveals the reason as to why service for Fantasy Life Online will come to an end. The statement reads that due to the inability to potentially continue to create an experience players will enjoy, Level 5 has decided to terminate service for the game.
But they just announced the English version like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
What is happening here?
Okay. It might be that they already spent the money, so it's going to happen whether or not they want to. I guess it's also them trying out to see if the property has commercial viability outside of Japan. Like, as you know, there used to be so many MMOs and mobile games springing up across the years, trying to grab our attention. But our mind share is so limited, and you have only so much hours in the day to spend on a certain thing, that not everything is going to get its due. And unfortunately, that was the case for Fantasy Life Online in Japan. Will that be the case in the West? We don't know. Maybe it might strike a chord in the West and be super popular. We don't know. But yeah, that's how these things go, unfortunately. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens. Next up is...
Oh, this next thing is a pretty long letter, so...
I'll try to be
just kind of summarize it, because it has several different headings.
Okay.
So...
this is a lawsuit filed against Toei for harassment and toxic work conditions. This is by Ayaku for the Tokusatsu Network. An anonymous... let me try that again. An anonymous assistant producer has filed a complaint against Toei on Sogo Support Union regarding various issues. The letter's a very long one, but the highlights, if you want to call it that, are
the main problems and issues that are
a fixed
apparently
overtime
going on
system, sexual harassment, overwork, and a bunch of things. So if you want to, read the details or be informed, you might want to click on the article. But
I feel like, and it's unfortunate because I feel like this might be probably overlooked in a lot of Western media.
But the thing is, I want to say I'm confident Japanese news agencies are sufficiently covering this. I hope they are.
Right. Right.
The thing is,
because Toei is a huge company, and that's like that'd be a huge.
It's
issue.
a huge company, yes, but I feel like the way the things happen and are reported on are more relevant to Japanese people.
Right.
But that's not to say that sexual harassment in the workplace is a Japanese issue. It's a global issue.
Right. I mean, we have all that Activision Blizzard stuff.
And the Ubisoft stuff
happening this week, and the culmination of that stuff happening this week, and
But I think the problem for us is that we don't get a lot of news from Japan regarding labor conditions and how production goes.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that with game development and how we don't know a lot of details until after the fact, and we still don't know as many details as we would.
And Japan,
with a Western.
Japan also holds much of these details close to the vest because they don't want to bring shame to their company or families, so they won't divulge into details. So it's unfortunate, but I hope that justice will come to those deserving that, and that the people affected by this get the help they need. Next up, Pragmata delayed to 2023. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Capcom has delayed Pragmata from its previously planned 2022 release window to 2023. It will be available for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. Quote, our team is hard at work on the project, but to ensure this will be an unforgettable adventure, we've decided to shift the release window to 2023, the company said in a statement. In the meantime, we have a brand new artwork to share with you. Thank you for your patience. End quote.
Did we know? Cool. Did we know this had a release window? I didn't remember this having a release.
I think they just said window. 2022 and left it at that. But
yeah, because they haven't even shown gameplay yet. I feel like
no, but the trailer they showed was in engine. So
okay. It's the one with the astronaut and the little girl or something, and it's kind of unclear what it's about exactly.
At first, people thought it was a Kojima Productions thing, but
right, it was Ludens or something.
Yeah, but no, it's not that. I don't know what to make of this. We don't know what the game is, so
yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like this is like the weirdest delay recently, in that it's like it's not something I forgot about this. Like, it's one of those things where when I see the name, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's that one. But otherwise, I'm just like, it's not something I was like thinking about.
They could have not said anything, and we wouldn't have noticed.
Right.
Yeah, but I think they just want to get ahead of it because, you know, people are still talking about Deep Down being a thing that was announced and never formally canceled.
Yeah, but the difference is they showed the gameplay for that.
Yeah, so whatever. Well, all the best to the developers.
So in other news,
the good-ish news. First up, we have Dragon Ball Fighters and...
Well, there is some bad-ish news in the main topic, but we'll get to that.
Don't spoil it for the listeners.
Oh, I say, well, you got to prepare them. I don't want to... Oh, okay, it's this good stuff, and then bam.
Fair enough.
They're like, that's not good.
First up, Dragon Ball Fighters and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 shipments and digital sales top 8 million each. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Total worldwide shipments and digital sales for Dragon Ball Fighters and Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 have each surpassed 8 million units, Bandai Namco announced. DBC Xenoverse 2 launched for PS4 and Xbox One on October 25th, 2016. PC via Steam on October 27, 2016. Switch on September 7, 2017. And Stadia on December 17th, 2019. DBC Fighters, meanwhile, launched for PS4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam on January 26, 2018, followed by Switch on September 28, 2018. To commemorate the achievements, Bandai Namco will host the following campaigns for each title. So click on the article for a full breakdown of that. And congrats to Dragon Ball for selling a lot of stuff, apparently.
Yeah. And speaking of Dragon Ball games that probably will sell a lot, maybe, I don't know, there's a new one that was announced.
Yes, perplexing everyone from east to west. Dragon Ball The Breakers announced for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Publisher Bandai Namco and developer DIMS have announced asymmetrical multiplayer online game Dragon Ball The Breakers for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. It will launch in 2022. A closed beta test is coming soon for PC. You can click on the article for a full breakdown of the overview and the key features and the trailer for the game. But to sum it up, it's basically Dead by Daylight, but with a Dragon Ball skin. So I think 7 players are trying to escape from enemies or villains.
Yeah, and you're supposedly human? It seems like.
I think what they're not revealing yet, I'm gonna make a prediction, is that once you're the sole survivor, you get a power up. So if you're probably playing as a Saiyan or a human-esque character, you might go Super Saiyan in the final
or do some Kaioken or something
like that. So you don't feel outmatched against Cell, Frieza, or Boo.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I want to say Puar go Super Saiyan or Super Puar, whatever.
Oolong?
I mean Oolong, yeah, Oolong.
Yeah,
so Oolong going Super Oolong or whatever that means.
Oh no. Although I don't know if they're gonna do that. I think it might be more like
he gets a super armor or more guns.
No, I think maybe not that mechanic. Maybe it's a kind of thing where it's like time based, and you're waiting for the heroes to show up.
That could be it, but that takes away interactivity.
Like there's a time limit.
Interactivity.
Sure, but I'm thinking maybe that's what it is. But it's hard to know because we only have this one gameplay trailer so far, and it didn't really.
The way I think that could work is if one of the players that got KO'd previously comes back as one of the hero characters. That could make it work.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like you're the last surviving human or civilian character, so you have to light up a beacon somewhere, and that kind of signals you to choose like Goku or Vegeta to come in and save the day.
Yeah.
You know, Bandai Namco should hire us. I'm just saying.
We could do a better. We could do a great live stream.
No,
better than that.
Don't.
That one we watched a while ago.
Don't put that energy out there.
I mean, you know, it happens.
It happens.
All right. Next up, Super Robot Wars series shipments and digital sales top 19 million. This is by Saruman for Gamatsu. Super Robot Wars series shipments and digital sales top 19 million. Over 274 works featured in the series total. Total shipments and digital sales for Super Robot Wars series have surpassed 19 million units worldwide, publisher Bandai Namco announced. Additionally, the series has featured a total over 274 works as of June 2021, the largest number of intellectual properties to ever appear in a role-playing game series. They actually got the Guinness World Record for that. I wrote about in my things you didn't know about Super Robot Wars article.
Things you did not know.
Yeah, so I'm happy about that. The new DLC just came out. I need to get back to it at some point. I was still having fun with it when I was playing it. It's just like other games came out. And that's always the problem, you know.
But yeah, I'm happy to see a lot of people enjoying Super Robot Wars. Chief among them, you and Kat Bailey from IGN and Blood God.
Right.
Next up, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, Lost Stories to release in 2022. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. DMM Games announced Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion, Lost Stories will restart its development process. Originally announced in 2018, any updates regarding the title had gone dark. However, DMM Games has announced Japanese developers F4 Samurai will now lead development on the title. Additionally, Code Geass Lelouch of the Rebellion Lost Stories will release sometime in spring 2022 for PC and mobile devices. Shout out to Famitsu. DMM Games also shared a new teaser trailer for the game, which includes a new look as to how the Nightmare frames will appear. The Nightmare frames will be entirely 3D, whereas the more social aspects of the title will feature motion graphics. Players will also be able to pick an avatar for the protagonist, and a total of 2 versions have been revealed. Additionally, an official website has opened. Click on the article if you want to see the trailer.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that they were like kind of silent about this game until now. And you know, Code Geass Lelouch of the Rebellion is represented in Super Robot Wars 30.
Yeah.
So I thought I might just add that.
Did you ever watch the anime?
I haven't finished it yet.
Okay.
But I like it every time I watch it, though. It's just I need to get back to it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, so get on it. Next up, we have Power On, the story of Xbox 6-part documentary announced, releasing next month. This is by the homie, Wesley LeBlanc, who is a good dude and doing good work at Game Informer. And the story reads as Microsoft has revealed a 6-part documentary detailing the history of Xbox is coming out next month. Announced during today's Xbox, well, today being, when was this? November 15th. Announced during today's Xbox 20th anniversary stream, this documentary is called Power On, the story of Xbox, and it's hitting YouTube, Redbox, IMDb TV, Roku, and more next month on December 13th. As for what to expect, you can anticipate, well, all of it. The reveal of the Xbox with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the infamous Red Ring of Death on the Xbox 360, the subsequent 360 success, and the trials and tribulations of the Xbox One generation, and more. So there you go. I'm looking forward to this documentary. How about you?
Yeah, it's we've really getting we're gonna I would say we're getting spoiled, but like it's a good way to know a lot of behind the scenes stuff about like we're getting more and more behind the scenes types of things thanks to stuff like this and Insert Coin and all those arcade documentaries. And there's a PlayStation one that I forgot what it was called. And you know, we got No Clip doing all these great videos on different games. So it's good to see Xbox doing one for their 20th anniversary.
Yeah, more behind.
Did you watch the presentation?
Yeah, I did.
I don't have that much nostalgia for Xbox, except for, well, I do have some nostalgia for like Xbox 360. Because I played that in late high school, early college.
Say most of my nostalgia is wrapped in Xbox 360 era gaming.
It's like, for me, it's like Halo Forge mode games and Marble Blast Ultra. Do you know about that one?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. I just found out there's a spiritual successor to that that's available on PC and mobile, so called Marble It Up. So I've been looking into that.
Oh, there you go. Next up, we have Xbox Cloud Gaming now available for Xbox Series and Xbox One. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Xbox Game Pass users can now play Xbox Game Pass games from the cloud on Xbox Series and Xbox One consoles, Microsoft announced. Xbox Cloud Gaming first launched for mobile devices in September 2020, following a testing period that began in November 2019. Then for PC in June 2021, following a testing period that began in April 2021. There's a full breakdown with a quote and a trailer. But good on Xbox for bringing this. Like, more choice, more options is always a good thing. I hope it comes to my region, because you know, sometimes people forget we exist. But yeah, it's a good thing. It also makes it a lot easier for people who have last gen consoles to not have to upgrade. Like, say you don't have the money for it, or you don't have the room for it in your apartment or house or living quarters, what have you, and you just, you know, subscribe to the service and you get the latest and greatest games. Easy. So yeah, it's also good for accessibility, because you can in a certain sense try before you actually buy, and yeah, no real loss there. Okay, next up, Fortnite adds Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi in Shippuden crossover event. This is by Andrew Kia for Silicon Era. Epic Games confirmed Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi are heading to the multiplayer battle royale Fortnite in crossover with Naruto Shippuden. In addition to the 4 members of Team 7, players can also get special cosmetics such as Kakashi's Ninken Pakun. The members of Team 7 will be available for purchase as costumes after server maintenance on November 16, 2021. This being November 18th, the day of recording, so I should say it's available now. Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi will also have alternate costumes. Naruto will come with his Hokage uniform and scroll as back bling. That's cool. Meanwhile, Sakura will come with a Sakura Uchiha version based on her appearance after marrying Sasuke. That's so demoralizing. Like, almost all the female kunoichi, the kunoichi in Boruto are relegated to the mom roles. Like, do they have no agency whatsoever? But okay. Kakashi's alternate costume is based on his time as a member of Anbu and comes with Pakun as back bling. Additional items include the sword of Kusanagi, Kunai, Anbu Katana, and Hidan's triple-bladed scythe as pickaxe skins. Kurama will also appear as a What? Players will also get to eat ramen and perform the summoning technique with 2 new emotes.
Okay. So I did get to eat ramen. Not because of the emote, but because somebody, I don't know if it was just a creator made it or or if it was licensed by Fortnite and Shueisha and everything. But there was a thing where you could just explore the Leaf Village, and let me tell you, going around the Leaf Village, picking up ramen bowls because they give you like a tiny bit of experience, and then going up on top of a building to look at the Hokage Mountain as the Mandalorian felt really weird.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. Like I'm happy more people are getting like the franchises they enjoy in Fortnite.
Right.
I just don't know how to feel about Naruto shooting.
It was also really funny because before you talk to, because you would do like quests for each character. It would be like for Naruto, it would be like find these scrolls, or for Sakura, do this other thing. But like before you talk to them, they're each in like a pose where they're not moving or dancing or anything. They're like in a still pose, and Naruto just has this like thumbs up and smiling, and it just looks like a cardboard cutout. Yeah. But then like you talk to him, and I was like, why did they do that?
Yeah.
But it was weird because it was a pretty decent replica of the Leaf Village.
Yeah. I'm conflicted. I might try it. I might not. Because
well, you don't have to get. Yeah, that's the nice thing. You don't have to get any of the characters.
I know. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. A lot of people. Have you seen all the memes coming out from when it was released? It's really weird to see Naruto characters with guns because I think guns were only recently introduced in the Boruto manga. Or like, and I don't know if they're like chakra guns or actual or what.
I don't remember guns. There were gangsters that might have had guns, but
in the original Naruto.
No, in Boruto.
Because in Boruto in the manga there was somebody. I saw a thing of somebody with like a minigun type thing.
It could be when they like kidnapped that one kid, that arc. But it's all a blur at this point.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see this. This is something you never really thought would happen. You told me last year, hey, Naruto's going to be in Fortnite. I'd be like, yeah, that's not real.
And now we're heading into the Fortnite metaverse. Or it's already here.
Oh, jeez. We can't use the word metaverse anymore.
Hey, it's not copyrighted.
I just meant because of the association with bad things, but yeah, it's weird, it's interesting, and what's funny is when on that manga article, there's a Fortnite manga in Japan.
Oh,
and the main character is named Vic Roy.
I don't know how I feel about that. Okay.
And he looks a lot like Naruto.
Oh, of course.
Because hold on, let me show you. Let me show you what he looks like. Let me just send this here. He looks like that.
Okay, looking at. Let's see. I'm having some connectivity issues, so bear with me.
Okay, it might take a second.
It's loading. How big is this image?
Might be Discord being weird. It's not. It's only 493 by 570.
Okay. That's a PNG.
This is Discord being weird. Because it's sent to you like immediately. Like I can see it.
Also that.
You can search Vic Roy Fortnite manga and he'll be there, but
I have no idea, man. It's like the delay is huge.
That's weird. Doesn't want you to see this Naruto looking character. Anyways, he has spiky blonde hair and goggles and a rocket launcher and a pickaxe and a little dog.
Yeah.
And cargo shorts.
I mean, yeah, it's very much main character energy.
Yeah, he looks like Naruto. I don't know what to tell you.
Still loading on my end.
Vic Roy caused some technical difficulties there.
Yeah.
He's very jealous of Naruto.
But did you know that Masashi Kishimoto has a twin brother?
I did not know that, actually.
Who is also a mangaka.
What is he?
He has done...
Is he not quite as successful?
Not as successful as his twin, but he has done O Parts Hunter, which in Japan is known as 666 Satan, and yeah, he's done some cool stuff.
The Shadow Clone Jutsu being a mainstay makes so much sense now.
But if you read 666 Satan / O Parts Hunter, you can see a lot of Naruto in it, but they have both said in statements or in interviews that, you know, we both have the same influences, we watch the same things, so it stands to reason that our styles will also be similar.
Yeah. Well, Utsu clarified that. Yeah. Next up, we have Moon and Blackbird for PS5 and PS4 launched December 16th. Onion Games titles dated for PlayStation platforms. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. The PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 versions of Moon and Blackbird will launch digitally on December 16th worldwide, developer and publisher Onion Games announced. Yeah. Getting those Onion Games on PlayStation.
What is this?
What? Moon?
Oh, Moon. Like,
what do you think I said?
I thought this was something else, like Moon and Blackbird.
Oh, like a game called Moon and Blackbird. No, Moon and Blackbird.
Okay, gotcha. My mistake.
Yeah. I'm just gonna get the PC release of Moon at some point.
I have Undertale.
Blackbird, I have no interest.
I have Undertale, so I should just play Undertale.
And then you can play Moon to see what inspired Undertale.
Yeah, I know, but I'll get to that when I get to that.
I also have Undertale.
Yeah.
I've had it for years and years.
Next up, we have Monster Hunter Rise Cross Sonic the Hedgehog collaboration begins November 26th. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Capcom will launch a Sonic the Hedgehog collaboration in Monster Hunter Rise starting November 26th, the company announced. You can click on the article if you want a full breakdown of it.
My prediction was exactly right.
What was that?
That Palico gets the Sonic costume, and Palamute gets the Tails costume.
That is true.
It's not a hard prediction to make, to be honest. Though, so I was like, oh, whatever.
Do you think you'll be getting this?
I mean, it's pretty maybe. Whenever I go back to Rise, I might as well. Yeah. Right now, I have it as my Palico is Tsukino from Monster Hunter Stories. And my Palamute has whatever armor it has.
The only thing I really wanted was the Amaterasu one from Okami. And that I do have, but
did we get Mega Man ones in this one? Yeah, because I know they've done that before.
Your Palico could transform it or get a skin that makes it look like Rush.
Yeah. No, give me the other. Give me a treble. Give me a treble skin.
Of course.
The other one. Or I can't think of any dogs from other Capcom games.
Yeah. Well, besides the Resident Evil ones.
Resident Evil dog? Oh god, yeah. No, not that.
I don't think they're gonna be doing that one.
Please, not that.
Yeah. That would be frightening. Maybe for a Halloween event or something like that.
Yeah, maybe you can make it like reminiscent, but maybe like tone down the scariness. Yeah. I don't know.
Next up, we have Ryoga Gotoku, studio director, says Yakuza 8 set several years after Like a Dragon, and a non-Yakuza and Judgment titles in the works. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. The latest issue of Weekly Famitsu features an interview with Ryoga Gotoku studio director Masayoshi Yokoyama, who discusses the studio's recent restructures. Here are key tidbits. Quote, "It's very normal for a company to change up the structure of its staff. I'm really quite happy to be in an environment where there's a need to make a big announcement out of something so ordinary." Wait, I'm not reading that right. I'm really quite happy to be in an environment where there's a need. Okay. I hope that's not a mistranslation. Next up, quote, "Over the past 10 years, Ryoga Gotoku Studios has grown to 300 staff. Toshihiro Nagoshi, Daisuke Sato, and I have been the top 3 for quite some time, but changes are unlikely to occur in this sort of setup without shaking things up. In that sense, I think this structural shift is a sign of change." Yakuza 8, title tentative, will be a sequel set several years after the story of Yakuza Like a Dragon. When it launches, it'll be an Ichiban Kasuga story. Is Ichiban Kasuga the protagonist? Question mark? Yeah, well, yes.
Probably.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Next up, the Judgment series is also very important to us. And we'll actively challenge ourselves to create new titles, not only for Judgment as circumstances permit. I might be misremembering this, but I think I saw other outlets report this as they are unsure if Judgment will be a priority.
Right.
Them saying it's important to them and they want to actively challenge themselves does not deny that or conflict with that. It's just they have nothing to announce at this point. It's a big jumble of legal stuff and copyright stuff and image and likeness stuff that they can't just wish away at this point. So, yeah. Unannounced titles outside of both series, Yakuza and Judgment, are also in the works. So, this could either be a third pillar to the strategy, or it could be the thing that...
The alternative pillar?
Yeah, that essentially replaces the Judgment series. But we'll cross that bridge once we get there.
Yeah. Alright, and next up, World's End Club PC release date appears on Steam. This is by Jenny Lada for Silicon Era. World's End Club, the newest death game adventure from Kazutaka Kodaka and Kotaro Uchikoshi, finally has a PC release date. The Steam product page for the game is live. It confirmed it will be out on November 30th, 2021. This falls in line with the expectation that it would come to the platform before November ended. This means there ended up being an over 1 year gap between its initial Apple Arcade debut and PC appearance. World's End Club's first part showed up as an Apple Arcade exclusive in September 2020. Then in 2021, the full version appeared. When that happened, it ended up also showing up on the Nintendo Switch in May 2021. Like many adventure games from Uchikoshi, who worked on the Zero Escape series, and Danganronpa creator Kodaka, there's a death game in effect in World's End Club. A group of children who are part of the Go-Getters Club and on a school trip ends up hijacked and subjected to a death game called the Game of Fate. You have to accomplish goals and try to survive. It supports 14 different languages. English and Japanese voice acting is available. You can also earn achievements as you play. Steam Cloud support is available for save files. You can also use a controller to play if you'd like. Demo is available for the Switch version. I have World's End Club for Switch. I just need to get around to it. Okay. It's one of those things, man. I also like playing visual novels. It's really enjoyable to play visual novel type games, or I don't know what they're considered, but you know, Uchikoshi, Kodaka type games with other people in the room or like on a call, because you want to see their reaction, to see other people's reactions too.
I classify them as visual novels.
Yeah, so like those types of games, it's fun to have somebody else with you.
Yeah.
Speaking of games that are good to have somebody else with you, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel: Dawn of the Battle Royale launches December 7th in the West. I made a new month. It's between December and January. It's called December. Due out via Nintendo eShop. Oh, I guess no physical release then. Konami will release the Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale for Switch via Nintendo eShop on December 7th in the Americas, Europe, and Oceania, the company announced. First launched on August 12th in Japan. There's an overview. Already a bestseller in Japan's retail charts, Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale offers an exciting brand new way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Summon powerful monsters repeatedly to your heart's content, filling the field up with your cards. On your next turn, replace your hand back to full no matter how many cards you played. The momentum can swing at any moment in this electric new Yu-Gi-Oh! Title. 1 minute you're in total control, the next your opponent suddenly has the advantage. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale, duelists can discover an original story featuring a host of fun new characters, explore a full single-player campaign in which you can hone your dueling skills, build up your deck from a massive, wide-ranging selection of cards, duel wherever you are with local multiplayer functionality for up to 2 players, take on your friends and challengers across the globe in online 2-player duels, and much, much more. Based on the duel style of Yuga Odo from the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's animation popularized in Japan, Rush Duel is an alternate rule set from the standard Master Duel used in the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game that's just as entertaining and is a great entry point for any new duelist. And there's a launch trailer, which I have yet to watch. I didn't even realize that. But yeah, that's gonna be a good week for me.
Yeah, you're eating well.
Monster Rancher comes back, a new Yu-Gi-Oh game,
Shin
and I mean
Megami?
like a brand new Yu-Gi-Oh game. Halo Infinite gets a full release that week.
Yeah, nothing to complain about.
Well, Halo Infinite won't have Forge mode yet.
Okay.
Or campaign co-op.
Okay, something to complain about, but
it.
don't complain about it too much.
Now, if only Digimon Survive was releasing that same week.
Yeah, that's the one with the monkey paw crawls back and like, no, we can't give Erroll
That's
everything.
not until next year. Yeah. Speaking of not giving me everything, the Game Awards 2021 nominees announced, and I'm going to get to this. So I'm just going to focus on the Japan-developed games that were nominated. So for Game of the Year, we have Metroid Dread and Resident Evil Village.
We should point out that Metroid Dread was primarily developed in Spain, however, but...
Right, but it is a Nintendo property. Okay. And then moving to Best Score and Music, Near Replicant. Best Audio Design, Resident Evil Village. Best Performance, Maggie Robertson as Lady Dimitrescu, Resident Evil Village. Best Ongoing, Final Fantasy XIV Online, Genshin Impact. I know that's not a Japan-developed game, but we've talked about it on the show before. Fortnite, because Naruto's in it. So.
No, that does not count.
You got Japanese characters in it now.
No. That's where I draw the line.
Oh, I didn't even see this. Best mobile game, Fantasian, Genshin Impact, and Pokemon Unite.
Pokemon Unite is developed by Timmy Studios, which is a Chinese company, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but Genshin Impact is also...
Yes, so, I'm just clear.
And we've talked about Pokemon Unite on this podcast.
I'm just clarifying so that the audience doesn't come get us.
Best community support, Final Fantasy XIV Online. Best virtual reality / augmented reality, Resident Evil 4. Best action adventure, Metroid Dread, Resident Evil Village. Best role playing, Monster Hunter Rise, Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. I think there's something missing here.
Is it? It's a subjective list.
Okay, but they put Monster Hunter Rise... Monster Hunter Rise is much less of an RPG than Monster Hunter Stories 2. Did less and I feel like people dropped off of Rise way faster.
I think it's debatable.
It's just that it's not in the running at all. is just surprising to me.
It's debatable what we would consider an RPG. Rise over Stories 2. Stories 2 is much more in the traditional vein of classic JRPG, where you have this big sprawling story, you have this plucky character, and then you journey across the lands.
Okay, and I was wrong. Monster Hunter Stories 1 was not nominated for Best RPG in 2017. It was nominated for Best Handheld, which I don't think that's a category anymore.
No, it's not. But yeah, there have been other notable RPGs this year, like East 9, Neo, The World Ends With You, Nier Replicant, Bravely Default 2.
Right. Nier Replicant did get a nomination for something, at least.
Yeah, something else. Atelier Ryza 2, Lost Judgment, Monster Hunter Stories 2, Persona Strikers. It's kind of iffy because it's more a Muso game than an RPG, but there are RPG elements, so where do you even really draw the line? So I feel like...
Look, I know that reviewers who are part of this panel, they can't play everything, but... And there's what was it? Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny said something like, if you don't have 5 picks for a category, you can't submit to that category or something. So it's a very strange system.
It is a strange system, but I think it's aimed to be the most balanced.
So, I'm just wondering if anybody nominated Monster Hunter Stories 2 for this. I hope somebody did.
The other way they used to do it, or some award show do it, is like they have like this giant list of all these things, all these outlets have as nominees, and then they kind of give every position a weight, and at the end of it all, they tally the cumulative weight of every entry, and that gives you the final list. Maybe that would be more fair, but who knows?
Yeah, of course. The nice thing is, these awards, they're not gonna. It's not like Capcom's gonna look at a Western award show and be like, "Oh, Monster Hunter Stories 2 wasn't nominated for Best Role Playing. Guess we can't make a third one now." It's like that's not how it works.
Also,
and it sold so well anyway. So I'm just like,
to your issue,
I'm disappointed.
To your issue,
not surprised.
Of Monster Hunter Rise being nominated over Stories. It's also something that happens whenever we see a Soulsborne game get nominated, like the Dark Souls games, or Bloodborne, or Sekiro, or am I forgetting one of them? Anyway, but they are more pure RPG in the sense that you have a character sheet. You will build your character. You will get items and equipment, and then you are on your way, and then you kind of have to make the story up in your own head. It's not given to you in the form of rich text or visuals or cutscenes. You make the story as you're traversing throughout the world. So it's a lot more pure RPG in that sense. Is it regrettable that a lot of the other RPGs got snubbed? Sure. But it could also be that not everyone at these outlets played all of those games, or had...
and that's kind of the issue.
Or had enough of an opinion to nominate those games. Or it could well be that they all played all of those games, but these are the more...
they didn't feel like...
These are more of the definitive games for this year. Like, I feel like there was so much talk around Scarlet Nexus because it was like a fresh new thing. Shin Megami Tensei is like a return to form. Tales of Arise is also like a return to form. Cyberpunk is...
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised Scarlet Nexus was nominated. Cyberpunk is more just because it was too late to be nominated last year.
Sure, but I feel like a lot of people would also argue that Cyberpunk is a very deep, complex RPG that is deserving of this nomination too, so...
Despite how divisive it is.
that's also the thing about awards. They are divisive. They are subjective.
Yeah. Right.
If
plus, I'm not watching it for best role. Like for this best role playing award, I'm hoping. Like if I had to call it, I would hope that Shin Megami Tensei 5 wins, but otherwise, I just don't want Cyberpunk to win personally. And then otherwise, I'm just like, fine, because Monster Hunter Stories 2 wasn't nominated. I don't have to worry about it winning or not.
I think the one that's set to win is going to be either Scarlet Nexus or Tales of Arise.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, Tales of Arise, yeah. Scarlet Nexus, I feel like...
I
don't know. I feel like a lot of people weren't really into that one as much.
Scarlet Nexus is the underdog. A
Maybe.
lot
Yeah, that
lot of
makes
people
sense.
were surprised by it, and it did sell really well for Bandai Namco. But I feel like Scarlet Nexus can win because it's surprising in what it presents you with social interaction and action-heavy combat.
Right.
So it's a very fresh take on the RPG genre. Shin Megami Tensei, can that win? Maybe, but I feel like people will look at it.
Hard hill to climb.
Yeah, people will look at it like, it's a deep RPG. There's a collection aspect to it. There's this foreboding sense of the end is here, but do I get like the epic story moments like I do in Tales of Arise or in Scarlet Nexus or Cyberpunk? Or is it more like a pure gameplay thing that I'm getting out of it, like Monster Hunter Rise or Shin Megami Tensei 5?
Monster Hunter Stories too.
Now, that's more in a pure gameplay sense. I feel like Monster Hunter Rise is better representative of that than Stories 2. Stories 2 is more traditional RPG.
There's also the whole thing about limiting it to 5 for each category.
Sure.
I know they can't do so many, like, and I know they have to do it a certain way to keep it. But
maybe
like,
for Game of the Year.
I wonder what would have gotten the sixth. What would have gotten 6th place, or not 6th place, but the 6th.
Okay, what would get? What would get your 6th nomination, if it were possible?
You know what would get my 6th nomination?
I'm conflicted because
Monster Hunter Stories 2 would be right there. Well, actually, I'd take Monster Hunter Rise out and then put Monster Hunter Stories 2 there.
Because you don't think Rise is a RPG?
I don't think Rise, and I don't think Monster Hunter World should have been nominated for best role playing when it was nominated.
But as I say, those games are like pure RPG. They are like you're giving a blank character, you're giving upgrades and monsters to defeat, and you make the story up as you go.
But when you think of RPG, I don't think of Monster Hunter unless I'm thinking of Monster Hunter Stories.
But I feel like
it's like
that's kind of us.
When I think of main Monster Hunter, I think of an action game.
But I feel like that's us limiting what RPGs can be. Like I feel if we're limiting ourselves, like.
But you could argue that for a lot of these categories.
That is true. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, categories are meaningless, but they also help us categorize things and streamline talking points and interaction. Yes. But I feel like we're limiting the genre and doing a disservice to it by just saying, "Oh, Rise is not an RPG, World is not an RPG, and Dark Souls is not an RPG."
I wouldn't say it's not that they aren't RPGs, but I wouldn't nominate it for a best RPG award over like maybe nominating for a best action game instead, because I think of. It's one of those things where I think of it as more of an action game than a role-playing game. Even though you are playing a role, and it gets, it gets weird.
Sure, I get what you're saying, but to me, I feel like it's a lot more systems-heavy than a straight action game. So,
anyways,
in that sense,
my point, my point is that Monster Hunter Stories 2 should have been nominated, and that more people should play it. That is all.
Sure.
Moving on. Best fighting, we have Demon Slayer, Hinokami Chronicles, Guilty Gear Strive, Melty Blood Type Lumina, and Virtua Fighter 5. And of course, I'll say the last one for this because there's only one more entry, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. But yeah, that's an interesting list. a lot better than last year when they had One Punch Man.
Listen, whoever nominated One Punch Man, I just want to talk.
I just
want to talk. No violence. I just want to talk. Listen, the thing about award shows are that they are subjective.
Right.
You try to come to a more objective standard of measure, but
right.
You get what you get, and the game awards are not the end all be all. You still have the DICE awards. You still have the GDC awards. You still have
right. The problem is like those don't get all the eyes on them the way the game awards does. But you know, the game awards is more about the game announcements and performances than the
yes.
You know, the awards themselves. The awards are still there.
If we actually,
but you know, they kind of blaze through.
If we actually cared about awards as we say we do, we'd watch the other shows as much as the game awards.
Right.
But that has not been the case. So
no,
you do the math.
Best family game: Mario Party Superstars, New Pokemon Snap, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and WarioWare Get It Together.
Mm-hmm.
And then best simulation/strategy, which is a weird category. I'm gonna skip. Best sports/racing. No Japan developed games there either. Gonna skip. Best multiplayer: Monster Hunter Rise. Fine. Content creator of the year. I don't know any of these people. Best debut indie. Most anticipated: Elden Ring and the sequel to Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. The only two Japan developed games on there.
The one category the two categories that surprised me the most are art direction and Tales of Arise not getting a mention, and score and music, and again Tales of Arise not getting a mention.
I'm surprised Nier Replicant got a mention. Not that I think it's bad. I'm just surprised it got I'm just surprised it got nominated.
I feel like people are riding the high from Nier Automata and Keiichi Okabe's score being so good, and then like, oh yes, it's Keiichi Okabe. He's good. We'll just nominate him here. Like, but yeah, it's all subjective. I also don't want to like put words in the mouths of the outlets that voted for Nier Replicant getting best scored.
Right. Again, I think it's pretty interesting, but again, you can't. Unfortunately, you know, not every game that releases here is going to be represented here. Monster Hunter Stories 2, Neo: The World Ends With You. Like Jason said, East 9, Super Robot Wars. I mean, I don't think it was going to be here anyway, but it's still. I mean, actually, that should be in Best Strategy game. Now that I think about it. Or wait, not Best Strategy. No.
Well, it is a strategy.
What was it? Best Simulation/Strategy. Yeah, it should be in there.
Well, it should, but it's also a big sprawling game.
But that's not it's also.
And
pretty niche title.
And people probably did not have enough time to go through the entire game.
And it's only on PC in Western territories unless you import it.
Yeah.
So we are probably going to go a little over. I hope you're okay with that, Jason.
Okay, sure.
Since we need to get to the main topic.
Okay.
Xbox. Vic Roy kind of messed up our time stuff.
I mean, we could save this for next week if you want.
No, I think I just want to do it now because I still want to talk about it, and also that's what the thumbnail is.
Okay, sure.
But so Xbox backwards compatibility adds 70 new games. So this is by Sarumoto for Gamatsu once again. Microsoft has added over 70 original Xbox and Xbox 360 games to its Xbox One and Xbox Series backwards compatibility catalog, the company announced. So I'm just gonna just the Japan developed game. So we have Beautiful Katamari, and I don't know if maybe some of these are Japan developed and I didn't know it. So just let me know. So we have Beautiful Katamari, Binary Domain. Which is by RGG, right? So I've been thinking about trying that one. So that seems very interesting. The Dead or Alive series, so Dead or Alive Ultimate, Dead or Alive 3, Dead or Alive 4. what else? There was also Otogi, Myth of Demons, and Otogi 2, Immortal Warriors, 2 older From Software games. Resident Evil, Operation Raccoon City. Is Ridge Racer a Japan-developed game?
Yes.
Ridge Racer 6?
And also...
Okay, so Ridge Racer 6.
Oni-chan Bara, Bikini Samurai Squad.
Oh, and Oni-chan Bara. Yeah, that. And Vandal Hearts, Flames of Judgment. And this was... and so I have an update, a kind of addendum? Is that the word I want to use here?
Yeah, that works.
Here, which is from Eurogamer by Tom Phillips. It says, last night's Xbox back compat update really was the last, Microsoft insists. We know we've said this before. Microsoft's latest batch of Xbox backwards compatible games really will be the program's final update. But Microsoft also said this update would be the last, and has now subsequently doubled down to reiterate this fact, while acknowledging it did also say this before. While we continue to stay focused on preserving and enhancing the art form of games, we have reached the limit of our ability to bring new games to the catalog from the past due to licensing, legal, and technical constraints. Xbox back compat lead Peggy Lowe wrote last night. But of course, Microsoft has said similar in the past when it wound down its Xbox back compat program prior to the Xbox Series X/S arrival. Alas, this time it really does sound final. Yes, this is the final addition of Xbox 360 and original Xbox games to the backward compatibility program, an Xbox spokesperson followed up to IGN. We have reached the limits of our ability to add additional games to the catalog due to licensing, legal, or technical constraints. We know we've said this before, but we went back one more time to bring as many fan-requested titles as possible to the catalog to celebrate our 20th anniversary. Around 600 games from the OG Xbox and Xbox 360 era are now included as part of the program, but fans have still lamented some of the titles which have not made it. A number of Sega games haven't made the cut, such as Jet Set Radio Future, Sonic Riders, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Heroes, as our friend Cameron Hawkins is not happy about. Fans of Singularity, Ninja Gaiden Mech Assault, Quantum Redshift, Armored Core, and Reckless, the Yakuza missions have also been left out. There's also No Eternal Sonata, and this is the one that really confused me. No Blinks 2 Masters of Time and Space. That's an Xbox first-party title. Maybe, I'm guessing that wasn't a legal or licensing thing. I'm guessing maybe they just couldn't get it to run quite right. Because it did take them a while to get the first Blinks game up on there.
It could be that, or it could be that they just didn't have the source code for the original game, so they couldn't...
the sequel?
Or,
maybe.
Yeah, so they couldn't get the source code back for the second game or the sequel.
That's unfortunate, but at least I still have the first one.
Yeah.
First one is on Game Pass, I think, too.
I mean that's the nature of things. Everything ends. I'd rather have one. I'd rather have one of the games than none of them. Well, there you go.
I was like, well, yeah, but then that's not the complete collection. I'm like, yeah, but it's better than nothing. Better than the alternative.
Yeah, and it's also, I think that Microsoft wants to serve the previous or the older fan base with nostalgia and also making it accessible for newer generations. But at a certain point, you also have to shift focus to the games that are supposed to be coming out for current generation.
I'm wrong. I don't think it's not an Xbox first party title, but it was an Xbox exclusive title. I think because it's by Artoon.
I feel like the developers would not be able to make that distinction for you.
Yeah. Oh, well, no. So it was developed by Artoon and published by Microsoft Game Studios exclusively for the Xbox.
So it might as well be a first party.
So if they have the rights to it, I'm gonna chalk it up to probably technological issues, which probably. It happens. But you can't get everything running that well.
But apart from that, I think we're escaping the fact that there's a limit to how much legal, technical, and financial stuff they can do.
Right.
Considering the wide breadth of previous generation games out there.
And to be honest, the list they have is impressive.
Yes.
Probably the biggest list of backwards compatible games since, you know, the consoles that had... No, because I don't know if those consoles even had that many games, though.
I think it could rival the PS1, PS2 backwards compatibility, the Game Boy...
Or maybe 3DS and DS with how many DS games there are.
There's that, and Game Boy
or
Color.
Wii and Wii U.
Wii U. So it's a pretty hefty chunk.
It's hefty, yeah. It's very impressive.
Yeah. So
the fact that we even got like the JRPGs on there, like the Xbox exclusive JRPGs like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and Infinite Undiscovery and what's the Enchanted Arms, you know, that we got any of those is impressive.
I think it's also, you know, them wanting to have like a limit for themselves, because at a certain point, as I said, you want to focus on the future. Like, what are you going to be making now that rivals the experience that we previously had with the older titles? And looking at the past is important. Learning from the past is important. But at a certain point, you have to put efforts into the future.
But learning from the past is important. And that gets into the next part of the main topic, which is Microsoft Gaming Chief calls for industry-wide game preservation. This is by Stephen Totillo for Axios. Microsoft's Vice President of Gaming, Phil Spencer, wants the gaming industry to work toward a common goal of keeping older games available to modern audiences through emulation, he tells Axios. Why it matters. The industry has big problems preserving its past as older games routinely become unavailable. Here's what Spencer is advocating for: an approach Microsoft already uses, software emulation. Spencer, whose own platform... an official industry emulation approach would require long-term online support to offer game files and to possibly check if the user has the right to access them. Spencer, whose own platform has some of these issues, still sees a path forward. I think in the end, if we said, hey, anybody should be able to buy any game or own any game and continue to play, that seems like a great North Star for us as an industry. Emulation is the path of least resistance for re-releasing games originally written for dead platforms, gaming historian Frank Cifaldi told Axios. There just isn't a better way that is commercially viable.
That is true. It's one of the things I think... I don't know exactly who said it, but one of the PlayStation execs, I think it was Jim Ryan, said that they wouldn't be investing as much in backwards compatibility because if you look at the numbers, you see there's not a big return of investment on backwards compatibility games. So there's also this what he said most notoriously or most infamously about why would you look at an old game when you have these fancy new graphics and better gameplay enhancements. And yeah, it's a tricky thing because we humans, we like our history, we like our physical objects, we like interacting with the things that give us joy and a nostalgic sense of safety and happiness. So yeah, it's a tricky subject and you have to balance it out. And I feel like the way Xbox has been doing it up until now is probably the best there ever has been. It has been done in the industry. Do I wish there was more? Sure, but I'm also happy with what we have and looking forward to the future.
Yeah, it gets hard when it's like you have things one way on Xbox. We have this great backwards compatibility system. On Switch, we have some cool online service stuff, and we can see how emulation, can go wrong. So we need to just figure it. The industry just needs to kind of figure out how to do all that.
Yeah.
And hopefully keep their source codes somewhere.
The only thing I'll lament is that I won't be seeing the Naruto Ultimate Ninja, sorry, the Rise of a Ninja games on backwards compatibility.
Oh yeah,
that would have sealed the deal for me. But
well, aren't those Ubisoft?
Yes, those are Ubisoft, and I feel like Ubisoft probably doesn't own those licenses anymore.
Yeah. So that might have been definitely a license.
So Microsoft would have probably had to reacquire the license on behalf of Ubisoft, or Ubisoft would have had to reacquire those licenses, and I don't think they are willing to do that, and they might not be available, and so it's a mess.
And I don't think they'd ever release the first 5 Ultimate Ninja games, the ones before Storm.
Those weren't available on Xbox.
Those were PS2, right?
So that's also another issue. I feel like anyone has their set of games they would have liked to see come back on backwards compatibility, like Eternal Sonata and what have you. So, can you please everyone? No. But I feel like Xbox so far has done
but does game preservation still need to get better? Yes.
That's also true, because there is an end to everything. It all goes away, and you can't keep everything in perpetuity. We would like to, but there's only so much space on Earth. There's only so much time you can there's only so much time you can dedicate to certain things in life. And
remasters, when done right and well, are a great way to like help game preservation.
Sure. And I probably would like to see more remasters done as it was with the Shadow of the Colossus on PS4, like redo certain stuff to improve on.
Well, that's a remake, isn't it?
Well, remake / remaster, but I'd love to see.
There's a difference.
There's a difference, but it's tricky when you have certain games like Demon Souls and Shadow of the Colossus.
But when stuff like remasters, I mean like the the Castlevania and Mega Man collection type stuff.
Yes, there are clear examples of each, like what a remaster is and what a remake is. But again, Shadow of the Colossus and Demon Souls are very tricky to categorize.
Yes, they're very they're somewhere in between.
Yeah. But
Xbox is doing a very good job.
Xbox is doing a very good job, and I hope the other companies follow suit, especially Nintendo, because they are sitting on just golden eggs on top of golden eggs
we still don't have that rumored Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD that are supposedly still coming.
There is that, and
Metroid Prime.
But it could also be that they are on their way, and we just have to be patient.
Yeah.
But that's about it, and I think that's all we have to say on the subject this week.
We went a little overtime. Vic Roy caused technical difficulties for us.
Thank you for listening. It's been fun talking to you, Erroll, and we'll be back next week. So stay safe out there.
Stay safe, wear a mask, wash your hands, get vaccinated if you can, please, especially because get your flu shots too, because if you can, because flu season is starting up.
So
and you don't want that to hit you like a ton of bricks right before the holidays. Let me tell you.
So
I haven't had it. It's just you don't want that.
Yeah.
You just don't want that.
Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself.
Watch anime, play video games, read manga, read a book. Don't get too mad at award shows when your favorite games aren't nominated or win.
And we'll see you next week. And
Yeah.
Stay cool out there. Goodbye.
Yep. Matane.